This is the Hard Thing Podcast. Today, we are overcoming average. Welcome back to another episode of the Hard Thing Podcast. This is the podcast that helps you weaponize the everyday hard things in your life to have a better life and improve yourself. So that way, in the future, you're more fulfilled and you have more joy and you look back with no regrets. The goal of this podcast is to give you the tips, tricks, tools, tactics, really whatever you need to get down in the trenches and fight your battles and win and actually take your life and make it what you want. Today's our Thursday show, so you're going to hear from me, Justin Lewis, one of your co-hosts, and Ty Crockett, your other co-host. Say hi, Ty.
Hello.
And we will be kind of putting ourselves in experiment mode. So on Mondays, we hear from guests who have been there, done that. These are high-performing individuals who have done these hard things. But on Thursdays, Ty and I, we try and make ourselves like them. So we try and emulate what they've done, actually going through some of the action items given to us by our guests on Monday episodes. And we also give each other challenges, again, to give you an example of what it looks like every day to be trying to do hard things and push yourself and grow. So that's the goal of today's episode. And stick around towards the end of the episode if you want to hear some ways on how you can support the podcast. But without further ado, let's just jump right into the show and let's talk about the challenge that I gave Ty 2 weeks ago. So, Ty, I give you the challenge to write a song for your wife. How did that go?
It went. I wrote the song, and the thing is that I wrote it on the guitar, but I have not written any lyrics to it.
Oh, cool.
So that's where we're at.
I bet you know what I'm going to ask you now. Can we hear it?
No.
Darn. Okay, I'm adding that to one of my challenges.
I want to finish it.
Oh, okay. Have you played it for her yet?
I have not finished it.
So she doesn't know.
Yeah.
So if you are listening to this podcast and you know who Ty's wife is, don't ruin it, okay? Seriously. Come on, guys. Was that awkward enough for you? Mm-hmm. Okay, good. Well, that's cool. That's really cool. I wish I had that talent or that skill. Now, let's talk about the action items that Sean Reynolds, the podcast guest of this last Monday, gave us. Let me pull them up. First of all, he actually gave us the action item of making action items in your everyday life for what you want to do, which I thought was a very fun action item. Then the second one he said was to model your behavior after the greats. Number 3 was to take 3 bites out of a goal with a deadline. And number 4, figure out who could help you. Ty, what are some of your thoughts around these action items?
Well, the good news is the first one I'm already doing. Create some action items for what you want to do. I think I was actually just listening to Matthew McConaughey and Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
And Matthew McConaughey was talking about how he has like a to-do list or something. And he writes down like everything, like even the small stuff. Like he's got to take a deuce. He's going to, because his idea is the more you have to check off, the better you feel.
Yeah.
And the more you're going to end up getting done in the end because you feel good about what you've done.
Right.
So that was kind of funny to hear. But yeah, as you can see, even on the desk that I am sitting at, I have a list of things that I need to get done. This one's specific to work, but I have other ones that are on my phone and other pieces of paper around here. Yeah, so.
I love it. That's funny that you bring up Matthew McConaughey. This is just an aside, but I feel like he's been on the podcast circuit because I saw on LinkedIn he was on a podcast with Gary Vee. He was on a podcast with Joe Rogan. He was even on Bigger Pockets, like the real estate podcast.
Oh, really?
For some reason. So I wonder if...
I think he wrote a book.
Oh, okay.
Like his own memoirs, or he published it or something.
Dude, I don't know if I could ever write my own memoirs. That would be like weird.
And publish them?
Well, like, I feel like I'd be okay publishing them, you know, just like, hey, this is me. But like going on podcasts.
And talking about it?
Yeah, because it's like, well, Jocko Willink, what are you on the podcast for? Because I have these amazing principles that will help people be better leaders. Matthew McConaughey, why are you here? I want to talk about me. I don't know. He's probably a super nice guy. But,
No, he's way cool. He's
Yeah.
way cool. Listening to him anyway, he seemed cool. The thing is that I've noticed is about podcasts in general is that everybody has one, including us.
Does Matthew McConaughey have one?
I don't know.
Probably.
He might. But do you know Megyn Kelly?
Gosh, what does that sound familiar? She works with you, right?
No.
Megan Kelly. Why does that sound so familiar?
She was on Fox News when Trump was
Oh.
gonna be or was running for president in 2016.
No idea who that was.
And she
Is.
ended up moving to a different network. I don't know which one, but I think they ended up letting her go on that one for whatever reason. Anyway, she started her own podcast, and some people were like, "Well, why are you going from like cable news, like that's the big kahuna? You know, why are you going from there to the podcast?" She was like, "Well, who has more influence, Ben Shapiro or Wolf Blitzer?"
Yeah.
And then, first of all, I think I know who Wolf Blitzer is. I can't even say his name. I think I know who he is, but I don't ever listen to him. And I have listened to Ben Shapiro, even if I don't want to. Like, I'll just be on YouTube, and then there's videos of him. And so you click on it, and it's like, oh, there you are.
No, yeah. Definitely podcasting is very powerful. Just because, like, it's the radio of the future. Because, like, instead of getting in your car and finding out what's on, instead you go and find what you want to be on, and then you put that on, which I think is cool. But these are, sorry, I got us off on a huge tangent.
Which is okay.
Yeah, that was actually something. So one thing, though, to remember with this first action item, I was reading a book, I think it was Better, Faster, Stronger by Charles Duhigg. He's the same guy who wrote The Power of Habit. And in that book, he talks about there's tendencies to make to-do lists, and it's a good thing until it's not. And basically he says in this one company, like, to-do lists were everything, and so it got to the point where people they would make to-do lists including things that they'd already done so they could check them off, and that would actually be sent to their managers as like progress reports. And it's this psychological element called emotional closure or something.
Yeah.
Where people with need of emotional closure are more likely to create tasks that are easier just so they can check them off rather than tasks that will move the needle and push them.
Yeah.
So just kind of a word of warning there. Make action items and do what Ty was saying with doing everything you can to be structured and push yourself forward and get things done. But remember that the goal isn't to check things off. The goal is to get things done. And the checking things off is just a mode to getting there. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, number 2, model your behavior after the greats.
After the greats.
What are your thoughts, Ty?
Well, who is the greats when it comes to, or who are the greats when it comes to podcasting?
Dude, that's a really good question.
Because whoever they are, and I have an idea of who they are, but I don't want to say right now because we can talk about it.
There's one name that is like...
that everyone knows.
And one thing that's really interesting is I'm pretty sure he wasn't the person to start podcasting. Like, he came along after, like, the initial people had started podcasting. He just did it better than everyone else.
Well,
we're talking about Joe Rogan.
Right,
yeah.
Okay. Also, he was like one of the first
He was one of the first ones, but he wasn't the first one.
I think it was Adam Carolla. Maybe. I could be way wrong, but like I think I remember listening to an interview with him, and he was talking about how he even like helped come up with the name podcast.
Joe Rogan?
No, Adam Carolla.
Oh, well then yeah. But
yeah, and Adam Carolla, he's one of the greats as far as like podcasting goes. Like, everybody knows who he is. Everybody knows Joe Rogan.
Yes. But they know Joe Rogan more, and my point is we're talking about greats, not firsts, right?
Well, but yeah. And Adam Carolla still is one of the greats.
Yeah.
I would just say that, like, I mean, there could be multiple greats.
Yeah, well, but anyways, go on.
But so if that's the case, I think that we should spend a little bit more time. This isn't something that you and I have to do together, but like, we should spend more time listening to the greats so that we know what the greats are doing.
Yeah. And
because I already do a little bit, but like,
when you ask the question of like, who are the greats? That's a really good point, just across the board, not just for us as podcasters.
Yeah.
But like, how would you define greats? And I think, like, we could listen to Joe Rogan more, and we would definitely learn a lot. We could also listen to other people. with podcasts that were like, hey, I want my podcast to be like that one, you know?
Yeah.
Or
Well, really, so here's the more important
yeah,
task than even that one, right? Because that one's important.
right.
But the first one is what's important to you.
Yeah.
Because what's important to you defines what's great.
Yeah.
And that defines who is great, right?
Yeah.
So then you can model your behavior after those people. But
Yeah.
first you have to realize like, well, what's important to me?
Yes.
And that could be a range of things. I mean, like podcasting can be important, but then also like I want to be a great developer, and that one's kind of hard because like how do I model my behavior or after? I mean, like I know the good developers
Yeah.
at the company I work for, but and I can kind of follow them and see their code and stuff.
Yeah.
But like that one's hard.
See their
Anyways,
code.
yeah,
That's kind of a cool way to say things. I know you're talking about code, but it's also like
their
like-
code
their code.
Code,
Like
yeah,
the
like-
coding of the coding warrior.
or the pirate.
Yeah, the pirate's code.
Yep.
Actually, along these lines, like a month ago when we were doing the swimming challenge and whatnot,
Yeah.
if you guys can remember back that far, we've been doing this for a couple weeks now. I had on my mind, I was thinking about spiritual mentors, and this applies just across the board, mentors wise. And I realized that like, I couldn't, and I believe in the Bible, the Book of Mormon, right? I can't like reach through time and have Moses mentor me, right?
Yeah.
But like through the books I could, but more importantly, what would maybe be even more actionable would be to look at the people around me and see who would technically be mentor material in that way, and kind of make a mental model of what they're doing and take advice from that, you know.
Well, I feel like just about anybody can
Yeah.
be a mentor
in some way.
in some way.
Yeah.
Like you could think about people that you know. Like there's a guy I know who's like really shy and he's not like the most confident person,
Right.
but like he's very humble and he's like super just kind.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, well, typically you'd look at him and be like, he's not like mentor material because like he's not confident in making things happen and whatever. But no, he is like in his own way, he's being kind
That's true.
and humble, and and those things are actually really important. So yeah.
No,
Yeah.
that's super valuable, because I think too often we don't look at the people around us and appreciate their examples,
Yeah.
you know?
And it's easy to look at people and find like what's wrong with them. That's just what humans do.
Yeah.
And I think it's like an instinctual thing. Like, cause if you're out in the wilderness and you build a shelter and you realize like, oh, if I don't put, I don't know how, when you're building a shelter, what do you do? I don't know. I've never built one, but I guess like, let's say you're making a trap for
Right.
an animal to
Right.
like get some food. Like, you look at your trap and you're like, oh shoot, there's 3 problems I see that I need to fix immediately so that way I can catch my food in the future.
Yeah.
And so maybe for human beings, it's easier for us to like point out
Yeah.
problems
No,
because
you're
we're
right.
like that's what we need to do to survive.
Yeah.
But like and like you build a really good trap, it's like you don't need to point out that it's a really good trap. You just move on to the next trap.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah, that's interesting.
kind of comes down to the same thing with like human beings. Like we need to like, I think it's really important to like verbalize too, like
Yeah.
that you see good in other people, like, and what good, like specifics
Yeah.
about the person. I think that's really important. So.
Yeah. That's something I want to do definitely more. Just generally having like a mindset of learning and being willing to learn at every instance. I've noticed that with my family, I've had political discussions and such.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a definite change in the discussion feeling from discussion to discussion when I have a mindset of learning versus like, I want to be right,
Right. Yeah.
you know, because for one, I don't argue as much, but for two, I do learn a lot more, which is valuable for me,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
So, all right, number 3, taking 3 bites out of a goal that you have a deadline with.
Oh, see, that's the thing. Like I don't know. That one's hard.
Yeah.
I probably should. What does 3 bites mean?
So he gives the example in the show. Sean he's a really fun guy. He's a business owner. For those of you who haven't listened to the podcast, go back and listen to episode 70. But basically, Sean Reynolds, he's a business owner, runs a construction company and development company up in Canada. he also had Crohn's disease, where he was running his business from a hospital bed, and just a couple other things. But we were talking about doing hard things, doing big things, and he says, how do you eat an elephant, right? One bite at a time.
Oh, right.
And that's kind of the idea, where you take these big, large, audacious things and you just chunk it down to something that you can do today, tomorrow, this week, so forth.
Right. Okay. Yeah. See, that one's kind of hard because I feel like I don't know. Well,
I have an example.
go ahead.
So for those of you who aren't in the know, I am trying to get into real estate investing, which is different than being an agent, FYI. And to do that, you have to find people who are willing to sell their property at a discount, right? That's one of the best ways to get started, because that opens up a lot of options for you. I won't go into too many details. If you want to know more about real estate investing, go to biggerpockets.com or listen to the episode with Chase Comby, which was earlier in the podcast's year, I guess. It was last year, or the episode with Jonathan Ballard. Both are real estate investors. But basically, the method I've chosen to find those properties that would sell at a discount is through probate leads. So find people who are going through the process of probate, and as a result, there is a property that is uninhabited that could be, that they might be willing to sell at a discount. So my goals are to get one real estate transaction, right? That's the lofty goal. I've chunked that down into finding 100 leads to send mailers to, and then create the mailer campaign. So what I'm doing is 10 campaigns, or 10 pieces of mail to each lead, and I had to write out each different pieces of mail and craft the campaign that would make it so when one mail sent out and I didn't get a response, it would send out the next one after a certain amount of days, right? Those are two smaller goals that led up to that bigger one. So I have to get 100 leads and finish the campaign. I've finished the campaign. I'm working on the 100 leads. That's one example of taking bites out of a larger goal, chunking it down to things you can do that aren't dependent on anyone else, anything else. And now all I have to do is just get leads, and then I'm on my way, right? That's one example.
Yeah, that's cool. While you were talking, I was looking at some of my goals that I had set up at the beginning of this year, which one of them is to start doing the podcast. So
boom, check.
That one off. That's cool. And then there's some other ones that I think, I don't want to go into details as far as what they are and everything, but they are ones that I probably should cut up into smaller pieces, because right now they're just big chunks. I guess one of them is doing an Ironman. Right. And I actually gave myself leeway as far as like this year I just want to do a half Ironman at least. Mm-hmm. And the thing is like I haven't even done like a half marathon yet. Yeah. So I know some people are like rolling their eyes right now, because I know I would. Yeah. But like, oh, you're gonna do a half Ironman, but you haven't even done any of this other stuff. It's like, well, okay, but I had just read, what's that book called?
David Goggins'
book. Yeah. Can't Hurt Me, and I was pumped. Okay, when I made that goal. So, and to be honest, he's the kind of guy where it's like, I've never done that before, but I'm gonna be the best at it right now. Yeah. It's like I don't need to do training. I'm just gonna do it. And I've been giving myself an entire year to do the training, so I have been doing some training, and I think recently I was talking to somebody else about, they do half marathons every so often. Mm-hmm. And they were like, you should just do it. Just like schedule time, like sign up for one. And then that way, like you have no excuses. You just have to train for it. And then when it comes, like you just have to do it. Yeah. And I was like, well, yeah, you're right. Like I need to just sign up for something. So that's like a small bite that I can take out of this whole Ironman goal. And I don't know. COVID has actually played a role in me pushing back COVID so much of my physical goals, but whatevs.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. So, but we should, after this podcast, in the All Things podcast, if you guys want to stick around, Ty, you and I should talk about doing like marathon stuff later. Yeah. That'd be fun. Cool. Anyways, the last action item was to figure out who could help you.
I like this one. Do you know why?
Why?
Because it's making me think outside of the box. It's like, well, because I feel like for me, maybe not outside the box, but just not thinking like I normally do. Yeah. Right? It's changing my train of thought. Like normally I'm like, okay, what do I have? The reason why I learned to code is because I've always wanted to be an entrepreneur. And I figured like a lot of businesses these days are like technology. And so if I want to get into that, like I can do it without having to pay someone else to build the app for me. I can just build it myself when I have an idea. That's the reason why I initially ended up going into, or like trying to learn how to code and everything back in the day, even when I was a kid, you and I doing Robotic Studios. That was our first company. We set up shop in his parents' stairwell in the
So there was like a room
stairs.
under the stairs. It was like furnished. It wasn't like a...
Neither of us had computers.
Oh, yeah.
So we had typewriters.
We had one typewriter. It was yours.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
So while one was typing, the other one was like...
Doing, who knows what
And
you were
we're
doing.
like 8 or 9, right,
Yeah.
during this.
Maybe
so,
even, yeah, probably
no,
8
we're
or
like
9,
8 or
maybe
9,
even older
10,
a little bit.
probably 11 maybe.
In that
But
range.
like young enough to play with toys under a stairwell. So that's what one person would be doing while the other person
Is that
would be
what you
typing.
were doing?
I don't think it was what I was
Because
doing.
I was almost always the one with the typewriter.
Dude, that's always how
Since
it's
it was
been.
mine.
You've always been the one on the keyboard, all grown up, even now.
That's funny. Oh man, that's good stuff. But yeah, so we started that business, but it was because like, we both loved video games.
Yeah.
And so we wanted to make a game at the time.
Right.
But yeah, like, so my point being is I try really hard to be an independent person.
Yeah.
And like I don't need a developer. I can do it myself.
Yeah.
Like I'll learn how to do it myself. Like I don't need a financial consultant. I'm just going to learn this finance stuff over here by myself, like I'm always trying to learn new things, which is good. But then I stop like looking for a person rather than just like going online and looking at myself. Like I need to think about people that I know and be like, oh, that person. Because the thing is, I could reach out to a couple people that I've met physically or that I'm friends with on Facebook. I could reach out to them and I'm sure that they'd be happy to teach me something that I'm like, that would help me achieve my goal.
Yeah.
That I just never really cared to do because I guess I'm like not super social. So it's not my first, that's not my go-to. It's like, just look it up on Google.
I'm the same way. Like, I don't know. Do you remember when I asked if you'd want to do the podcast with me?
No.
Or how that even came about? Like this podcast?
Yeah.
Gosh, how did it go? All I know is I was kind of awkward about it.
Oh.
And then because I'd never even thought hey, just get someone else to do it with you.
To talk, yeah.
Just because I was running out of ideas on Thursdays,
Yeah.
But ever since you joined the podcast, it's been a lot easier to have these fun discussions.
Mm-hmm.
And not just that, but it's also helping me become a better person because of these challenges and such.
Yeah.
It's just been, nice. And I'm definitely like you, I'm not the kind of social person, but I've been trying to think of more ways to build teams with each other, with other people.
Yeah. Do you know what's crazy about this?
What?
It's almost like a wave of people are kind of saying the same thing. They're all saying it differently, and they all have different motivations and different goals, but they're all kind of saying the same thing. So, for example, I was getting this feeling a couple of weeks ago that I wanted to start spending more time with other people.
Yeah.
And I guess it was because I think it was maybe 2 weeks ago. On Monday, something happened. I was with somebody. Then the next day, I was with my brother. We changed the brakes on my truck together, and we hung out and had a good time.
Yeah.
And then the next day, you and I we recorded a podcast. Then the next day, my dad came over and we worked on this little engine that I bought him
That's
years.
sweet.
It's a little plastic model engine that I bought him years ago, and we've been meaning to work on it together, but we never had. So finally, we did that. And then the next day after that, I hung out with somebody. I can't remember, but I just remember at the end of that week, looking back and being I loved this week. Just having something to look forward to every day at the end of the day where I'm with someone.
Yeah.
Whereas before I've been more hermit-like where I'm man, I hope that nobody wants to hang out with me at night so that way I can stay in and work on a project that I want to build or make or whatever. Yeah. Anyways, so the idea being that spending more time with people or groups, more social interaction. And my sister, on Sunday, came over for Sunday dinner, and she stayed, and we kind of talked about how she wants to like start hanging out with the siblings more and like build more of a relationship with each other and everything. And so I was like, oh, that's cool. And then we had like a group text with my brothers and my dad. They were like, we should do a guys' night out. It's like everybody wants to get together. And then you just said like you want to be building groups or something like that.
Like more team,
like
collaboration or just relationships, better relationships.
I think it has everything to do with this coronavirus thing,
dude.
Because everybody's like quarantining themselves
to
the point where it's like, no, we want to be with people.
Well, like it's essential. Like we're not made to be alone, you know?
Yeah. We're social beasts.
Well, like in prison or in war camps, if you act out, what do? They put you in solitary. Mm-hmm. They literally give you all the time in the world, and they put you by yourself where no one can bother you. You could do a lot of things by yourself, but in those instances, you kind of just go crazy.
Yeah. And that would not be fun.
Yeah. So, yeah, one thing I'm definitely going to be working on, like moving forward, is like finding, well, I kind of want to find more people like you who fit within the podcast, you know, and enjoy it, that can like grow with the podcast, right? Like when we start making money, we're both going to be getting paid. I kind of want to find someone else who can like fit in doing other stuff, maybe like blog writing or graphic design or something, or maybe social media, or I don't know.
Oh, like a small little like business.
Yeah. But not just like, and like that's just one example. I want to find more people like that fit, and I fit in their lives in more aspects of my life than just the podcast. That's just one example. You know what I mean?
Like you want a friend.
Yeah.
That you work with.
But not just that, but like, I don't know.
No, I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
I think it's cool.
So that's what I'm going to be keeping my eyes out for. But any other thoughts on that vein?
No.
Cool. Let me give you the action items.
The challenges.
Yes, the challenges. Sorry.
Action items.
Challenges, action items. Ty, are you ready?
Nope.
I have 4.
Let me write these down. 1 second.
Also, while he's writing these down, I'm going to give a couple quick shout outs. So, I actually did get some challenges on Facebook and Instagram from other people.
I saw that.
Yeah. I am not at 3 just yet. I think I'm at 2. But
that you have for me?
No.
Or that you've gotten?
That I've gotten. I don't know if I'm going to like use these.
You're not gonna
I am using one.
Well, I mean, the idea is that we have like people giving us challenges. We work with them. Yeah,
but one shout out to Alex Meldrum, who gave us a bunch of challenges on Facebook. Mm-hmm. A lot of these are interesting, so I don't know if we would use them.
Interesting in what way?
Well, they're just more fun than like personal development-y.
Do you know him?
Yeah, he's my mission trainer.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, so thanks, Alex Meldrum.
Oh, they're more fun.
Yeah,
I
was
just
reading
some. Like one was like blindfold
to have some fun. Yeah. Yeah. So, but quick shout out there, and then I did get one on Instagram. Actually, I got 3. Yeah, I definitely did get 3. But I got one on Instagram that I'm going to use. It is from B. Gomer Arnold. Do you know who that is?
No.
So it's Carrie's brother.
Oh.
Brig. Yeah, thanks for giving us the challenge of starting 75 hard. So that's your first one. Starting 75 hard. Do you know what that is, Ty?
I've heard of it. We can talk about it if I end up...
Perfect.
Or like to get more details.
Yeah, for those of you who don't know, it's the program from Andy Frisilla. You can look him up. That should come up. Second challenge, between now and next time you report, learn and cook 5 new recipes. And then
interesting.
Number 3 is memorize 4 quotes, poems, or scriptures.
How many? Sorry?
4. Between now and next time.
Learn
2 weeks
and
from today.
Cook 5 recipes. This is good. I like these.
Yeah.
These are good. Okay, so let's clarify what the 75 hard is, because I've heard of it, but I have not gone into detail to know exactly what everything
I will pull it up really quickly. Basically, it's I guess you could call it a fitness challenge.
Yeah.
It's by Andy Frisella. He runs, what was it? He runs a podcast. I don't remember what it's called, but apparently it's really cool. He's pretty...
Apparently it's really cool.
Well, I don't know. I've heard it's really good. Okay, so here is, as soon as my phone loads here. Okay, so you do this for 75 days.
Okay.
And basically the challenge would be to start it
Yes, yeah.
and hopefully finish it.
I would say start it and have it been going for 2 weeks.
Yeah, at least.
Would be the goal.
So for 75 days, you do 2 45-minute workouts a day.
Okay.
One workout must be outdoors.
Okay.
You have to follow a diet, so any sort of diet. You have to drink no alcohol or cheat meals. So you just pick your diet
cheat meals.
and you can't stray from it. You have to drink 1 gallon of water a day. And you have to read 10 pages nonfiction a day, and audiobooks don't count. Last but not least, you have to take progress pictures.
Oh, okay. Man, I love physical fitness challenges, man. I love them. That's why I always give them.
I know,
and that's why both of us probably always accept the one that is physical.
Well, they're just I didn't do the running one, but they don't take a lot of planning. In fact, they help with some of the planning.
Yeah.
But
the one thing, Kate, this is the thing that I hate about one of those.
Yeah.
I hate drinking a gallon of water
you have to pee
a day. Because
all-
the entire day, that's all you're doing is peeing.
Yes.
I don't have time to pee.
I know, right?
I have time to drink because I can just sit here, put a straw in my mouth
Yeah.
if I wanted. You can put a straw in a big gallon jug of water. And
Catheter, man. You could get a catheter.
probably wouldn't be a good idea either.
Yeah.
But man, having to get up and pee?
Dude.
That sounds like something that you and I should actually just start doing.
Yeah. Honestly.
Okay. I like this one so much that it shouldn't be. This should not be one of my challenges this week. I'll pick one of the other two.
Okay.
And then you and I will just start right now. Maybe not right now, but we'll start doing
Counterpoint.
a 75.
How about instead you can pick any one of the 75 hard parts and do that for 2 weeks. So
you don't want to do it.
Well,
is what you're really saying.
it's cold.
So
Dude,
hard things, bro.
I know. Also, does being in a garage count as outdoors?
No.
Dang.
I would
Shit.
imagine it would be something like riding a bike or walking, even running.
Yeah, I guess. That's technically a workout. Dude, I'm the worst. I like to scale up to things. So just pick your dang challenge. We'll talk about this later because this is your challenge day, not mine. So,
Oh, man.
uh,
Dude, we could even come up with our own challenge if you want.
yeah.
We should talk about that in the next.
Dude, that would be fun.
You and I.
Making
just
our own, imitation.
Yeah.
Anyways, pick your challenge.
Make it hard.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. Man. I don't cook. And so that would be a good one. But the question is, do I want to right now?
That is a good question.
It's probably a good one to start.
If it helps, you can think about it this way. It's not so much 5 recipes or 4 things you need to memorize, but 2 and 2.5 every week. So Monday and Friday.
Yeah, I mean that doesn't really change it for me as far as how I think about them. Because it's still, I guess. But let's do the memorize 4
Cool.
because that's something that I used to do,
Yeah.
and it's good.
Yeah. And I'll also accept memorizing scientific things, like a scientific fact or a formula or something if that helps, or even a scale.
Yeah.
But basically just memorize 4 things that if you read once, you couldn't repeat word for word just once, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Cool. Awesome. So if you guys want to see Ty do that, tune in next 2 weeks from today. But if you want to hear from me and the challenge I accepted, as well as hear the next challenge I accept, tune in next Thursday. But just above that, make sure you subscribe to the podcast. Never miss a single episode. And if you're listening on YouTube, hit that little notification bell. So again, never miss an episode. Also, we want to give you a free thing just for listening to the podcast. I know 75 Hard doesn't count audiobooks, but I love audiobooks. So if you want a free audiobook, go to audibletrial.com/The Hard Thing Podcast. Get a free audiobook today from Audible. They offer over 180,000 titles in all sorts of genres. I've been listening to so many audiobooks lately that it's kind of gotten out of hand. But enough about me. Go get your free audiobook today. Also, join our Facebook group, facebook.com/groups/The Hard Thing Podcast. There, you can actually find people, as we talked about today, who can help you. You can find people who could be some greats for you. Just find a group of people that are like you trying to do hard things, and you can band with them and find better ways to be a better you. Last, I want to invite you to help us raise $1,000 for Operation Underground Railroad. They're a nonprofit organization, and they go undercover to rescue kids from sex trafficking. Now, this time of year, most kids are thinking about what they're going to be for Halloween and all the candy they're going to get. Unfortunately, there's a large subset of children who, instead of thinking about candy and Halloween, they're thinking about their next meal or thinking about how to avoid being raped. Those kids need rescuing, and that's what OUR does. So go to GoFundMe.com/overcoming-average or OURrescue.org. Donate some money, help us raise $1,000, or just donate some money right to OUR. Either way, help rescue some kids. We will see you guys on Monday for our next amazing podcast interview show. Until then, keep doing some hard things because you will overcome average.